I said, Dad, I know, I made up my mind, I'm going to be a DJ. And like I mentioned, my parents are opposites, but one thing that they were consistent is they supported me 100%. My dad takes me down to the state tax office. We take out a GE tax license. I pay my $20 that I earned from weeding the rock garden, and I have and I go out and I get some DJ equipment. Well, actually, it was my dad's PA equipment from his gigs. Didn't have any lights. I had a tape recorder, and I'd stay up all night and I'd request songs on the radio and then hit record. And I'd try to make sure that you didn't hear Hot I-94 come across it. And so in Kaneohe Bay Shopping Center, there's this music store called Music Mac. And the manager there says, she sees me, I'm coming, back from King Intermediate, and I always stop in there looking at all the lights and stuff, and she says, oh, you're a DJ? You're so young. I'm like, I have my own license. I'm a licensed DJ. And she goes, oh, I would love to hire you for my son's party, but it's got to be big, it's got to be great. One thing that these kids have is confidence, even if they don't know what they're talking about. I said, oh, I've got all that. Trust me, I have it all. And so she hires me, we go to their main warehouse. I set up my dad's PA speakers, and then she's like, okay, you said you had a big finish. I got my two brothers, they were flashlights, clicking them off and on. I got my mixtapes going back and forth. Every once in a while, Hot I-94. They work for me. And so I'm like, okay, ready for our big finish? And she's like, okay. They sing happy birthday to him. And then I pull out a match. And it was genius. My dad, he's been saving this 100,000 strand of firecrackers for New Year's, okay? And we're in an enclosed air-conditioned warehouse. It's gonna be great, I'm telling you. And I say, happy birthday! Wow. Next thing you know, the fire department's there, ambulance are there, asphyxiation, we're choking, and I'm over there, this ADHD, dyslexic kid's going, this is great. I delivered. Okay, I delivered, and then my dad says, get in the car right now, son. I said, hold on, Dad. I walked up to the lady, can I have my check, please? Thank you. And I got in the car. We got out of there as quickly as we could. Okay, so that was my middle school experience. And then I went off to high school. I didn't last very long at Castle High School. They had this system called the core system, if any of you recall it. And what it means is that everybody in the core subjects are at the same level. It was the introduction of standardization in the school system. And so that means if it was too hard, too bad. If it was too easy, too bad. And of course, I did wonderful things there. So wonderful, they moved me quickly to Kalaheo High School for this other program that they had there, and that's where I attended high school. But high school didn't seem very much different than middle school, and it didn't seem very much different than elementary school. I had this teacher, and like I said, if you know them, doesn't leave the room. Okay, and his name was Mr. Jackson, and Mr. Jackson taught history, and he taught history through telepathy, because he slept through the entire class. His students got straight A's because they would change them in his grade book right in front of him as he slept there. And the thing about Mr. Jackson, and I wasn't one of them, maybe. The thing about Mr. Jackson is he had this beautiful, shiny head. And if you're an ADHD dyslexic kid, you start making patterns of the spots, the wrinkles, the glare. And one day I thought, I would be so talented if I could do something with that head. And so I got a permanent marker, a Sharpie, and I drew a happy face on his bald head. Not thinking it through that evening was parent night. I went to parent night, and sure enough, right at the door with a big scrub red mark on his head, welt, was Mr. Jackson. And he walks up to my mother and says, do you know what your son did to me today? In class, he drew a happy face on my head with a permanent marker. Do you see the mark? And my mom just said, you poor man. She's like, how did he ever never do that in your class. Total backup. Okay, I want to get quickly through my life story because I want to move on, and there's a connection to this. But you have to know that this study of abilities in ADHD and dyslexia and music is ingrained in me from a very, very early age. I've been doing research for a long time. I am the self-study, okay? So if you ever work with these students, you're going to know that they have a lot of ideas, tons and tons of ideas, and they're always doing something new. And we had Mayday, and I had a Samoan English teacher who didn't speak English, but she was in charge of the Mayday committee. Okay, and so she said to me, and I knew someone that did the Samoan fire knife dance, and she said to me, she said, hey, do you want to be part of Mayday? And I don't know why, and this happens to us, these gifted kids. I don't know why I said this, but I said, oh yes, I would like to be part of Mayday. I know the Samoan fire knife dance. I meant to say I know someone who knows the Samoan fire knife dance, but it just came out that I knew the dance. So I took some Samoan fire knife dance lessons from my friend, and as many of these students are, I was confident after 3 lessons I could do it. Very well. Okay, so a Samoan fire knife is a long stick. It's got a knife with a hook and a little thing at the end, and put that in the hand of an ADHD kid. And you light it on fire. And it has 2 pieces of K-Nick. They're absorbent material, and you pour white gasoline on it. So, my senior year, Mayday, I run out there. I'm wearing a real short lava tea leaf shredded around my head. Did a bunch of push-ups, run out there, things on fire, and I yell to the audience, Talofa! Oh, and they go crazy. First time in my life, people like me. They all went nuts, and I was like, yes, this is what I need. I touch the bottom, I tap it, it doesn't light, pull out my lighter, light it. I'm spinning it around, I'm doing all this stuff with it, I'm being super cool. The part that my friend didn't tell me was that you take a pliers and you cinch the wire to make the cane tight against the blade of the knife. So, I'm doing a great job. There it is, that's the picture, okay? I'm doing a great job. Okay, spinning around. I get to the very end of my thing. I'm gonna show them how fast I can spin this knife with fire. I start spinning it like the Dickens. And all of a sudden, it's like slow motion. The end of the fire knife goes flying through the air. And everybody does what you just did. And it lands. And it's an explosion. Okay? And to this day, if you visit Kaleheo High School, my monument still stands. Right there. Okay? I want to make sure we know this very clearly, that in today's lecture, it's not going to be a lecture, or I don't want it to be an excuse for bad behavior. And we're going to talk a lot about things that might go wrong for a student with these disabilities. And sometimes these things go wrong because we don't understand where they're coming from. So please don't use this as an excuse for bad behavior. If you have a student that's not doing what's right, that should be fixed right away, okay? But if you fix it without understanding where it came from, then maybe you need to do some fixing yourself, okay? All right, I didn't even need my cards for that. It's like true life experience there. Okay, so here's the end of the story, really quickly. When I went into middle school, my mom, she told me this, and I added this to my discussion today. She told me this last night. And I never heard this story before, but she said, when I left Honolulu Elementary School, she had her IEP meeting at King Intermediate.